casual. How's your father?
How's your father?
Your mother?
Your mother.
Okay, sorry. I just accidentally closed my chat window like an idiot.
Right.
If you can give me just 1 sec, I want to see.
We actually are broadcasting together.
Oh, hey. Hey, awesome. Hey, everybody. Kelsey Toner here. Matt decided to go ahead.
I'm not sure if I communicated that clearly enough.
That was good. Matt was doing a countdown till we're live. And so he did the 6, 5, but then he's really good. So he did the silent countdown after 3. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Anyway, my apologies for actually closing down the chat. I hope no matter what time of day it is for you, you are having a wonderful time. It's very, very good to have you here. I'm a person, Kelsey Toner. We've got Matt Newton on the line. We're just going to do a couple of shout outs. I'm going to open up my chat window. So Matt, feel free to say hi.
Yeah, so hey guys, obviously it's Matt here from Tourism Tiger. Really looking to presenting to you guys some content. I've got my webinar, my online workshop, comfortable clothing. I'm ready. I'm prepared. I've got my water. I've got my jewels, my kilojoules, so to speak. I'm ready to drop some amazing content, information gold. So really, yeah, I'm super stoked about this one. Actually, this is going to be one of the better ones that I think we've done in the past, and really happy to share this information with you guys.
Yeah, and I've attended a number of Matt's workshops. Just as a heads up to people, he specifically even called me out and he said, Kelsey, you're going to be really impressed with this workshop. They put a lot of, and I'm not an easy person to impress.
Wow.
Matt knows that. So
I think I need to back off maybe.
Well, anyway, so just saying that meant a lot, because I know every single time that I come to a workshop by Matt and the Tourism Tiger team, I always have my notepad and pen at the ready, because they pretty much always have awesome stuff to say. So let's do a couple shout outs. We've got all kinds of awesome people from the Be a Better Guide community here, which is great. I see we've got Phyllis, we've got Andres from Ecuador. We've got Dave from the Everglades Kayak. That's pretty cool. So Everglades, I think that's in Florida, right? That's pretty cool. Isn't there a lot of like crocodiles and such there? Dave, you'll have to let us know how that works. Do you kayak through that?
Yeah, the sharpened kayak. It's like an adventure tour.
It is an adventure tour.
Stabbity stab.
We've got Julius from Lima, Peru. That's fantastic. My brother just came back from Peru. He said it was unbelievable. He's going to send me some of the photos. Okay, and we're just getting everyone, of course, refreshed and hit play.
Yeah, we need to confirm that people can actually hear us.
Yeah,
right?
So please do let us know if you can't see or can't hear. By this time, you should be able to see us, and we're just waiting for a few of the last folks to tune in.
Cool. All right.
Good to go on. Okay, so we've got Andrea confirming that the broadcast seems to be working. So what I'll do is, we don't like to do big fancy introductions or these sorts of things, but I will say that Matt Newton has been a long-time friend of Be a Better Guide. We found each other just last year, basically looking at what other incredible content is out there that is helping tour and activity operators, and we very quickly found one another. And if you haven't checked out the Tourism Tiger blog, for signing up, you of course got a copy of Matt's awesome book, Sell More Tours. That book is an absolute diamond field in terms of ways that you can increase your sales. And that's really going to be the focus of today's workshop, is how we can increase our online tour sales, which is really relevant to almost anybody who's operating in this day and age. I mean, we are just using so much of our lives is spent online, in terms of the research, in terms of bookings, in terms of, smartphone technology. So Matt is at the forefront of this. He and his team spend all day basically creating and designing and optimizing websites for tour and activity operators. So Matt is absolutely an expert in this field, in this area, and you should take everything he says very, very seriously, because this is what they do full time. So I'll stop talking. I'll be here in the chat, and I'll turn it over to very talented, very, very Impressive. If his knowledge, Matt Newton.
All right. Thank you so much, Kelsey. Wow. I obviously introduced Kelsey to a different online workshop yesterday, and I think Kelsey just outdid me one there. So thank you for the very kind words. And obviously, yeah, I'm very excited about the content that we're just about to be presenting. Really hope that everyone is able to see this now, but obviously we do need to progress. One thing I need to mention as well is that I won't actually have access to the chat window during the webinar, so I won't necessarily see your questions straight away, but other people in our team absolutely will. So feel free to mention if you have any problems with the audio or the video or anything like that, and someone will get to you straight away. Obviously, if you're having problems with audio right now, there's not a very good chance that you can hear me, but obviously as a team, we'll sit in the chat box and we'll look to help each other out. But that's about it for that kind of blurb. I'm just going to start shifting into sharing my screen with you guys so you can see what I hope is going to be an excellent presentation. All right, cool. Let's do it. So basically, the topic of today is 5 ways to increase your online tour sales, and I'm actually going to be going through a lot more than 5 ways. We're almost going to be looking at 5 overarching strategies or overarching methods that we're going to put into one big framework. And I've learned a lot of this stuff over the course of having my business. Obviously, as Kelsey mentioned, we build websites for tours. But I've been in this industry for a long time, and this is basically a compilation of a lot of my thoughts and learnings over that time into one big framework. So I'm really excited to share that with you. It is some pretty high-level stuff, though. So what that's going to mean for you is that you focus really as much as you absolutely can, because if you miss any of this gold, obviously you might think, oh, I can watch the replay, but really, are you going to get that time? If you're here right now with me, it's very important that you just get the notebook out, get your pen, close the office door, turn off your phone, or maybe slide it across the table away from you, shut down Skype and shut down everything else, obviously, because it's going to interfere with your internet connection. And just make sure you're giving this 100%. Because honestly, the information I'm just about to give you today, if implemented, can change the course of your business forever. And I know that's a pretty big claim, but I think you're going to agree with me by the time we get to the end of it. So make sure, once again, that you're ready to focus. There's about 45 minutes of information coming up. And I know it's going to give you a lot of value if you take it and implement it. I have seen one business so far implement all of this stuff. And that just so happens to be a client of ours. And unless your name is Peter Lewis, you're not that person. So this is really intense. Obviously, a lot of stuff I'm going to show you today, it's going to take you months and months and months to be able to implement it, but the framework is going to be there for you to come back to. So, wow, I kind of laid it on thick there, kind of built it up. Well, for anyone who stays all the way to the end, I'm going to give you a small gift, which is a video course that I'm currently putting together. It's called Sell More Tours. We're going to be selling that for $497 on Udemy. And I'm currently in the process of putting it together. It's going to be about 50 to 60 videos just going through the full gamut, soup to nuts of online marketing for tour operators. So we're going to be talking about TripAdvisor, talking about Facebook, Google, websites, all of that stuff. It's going to be all in there, and this is going to be a great accompaniment to my book as well, Sell More Tours, which you should have received. And the link to this video course is going to be available to you at the end. So this is a strategy session. Well, it's for those who own a business. For those who are just starting out as well, it's going to be useful. If you're a client of ours already and you just happen to be on this webinar, you don't need to worry too much about a lot of stuff I'm going to say, because we're going to implement some of this stuff for you. But there is about 30% of it you still can implement it yourself. So it is going to be valuable for you as well. Cool. So who am I? My name is Matt. And this is with me with 2 people on our team. Actually, the lovely person in the middle there is my fiance. We're getting married in a couple of months. I've been the CEO of Tourism Tiger for just around 2 years now. Prior to that, I was a tourism marketing consultant. Prior to that, I was a tourism and hospitality specialist at a marketing agency. So I've been doing this for a long time. I wrote the book, as you guys know, Sell More Tours. I've got we've got a blog actually where we put up a lot of information at tourismtiger.com. I'm actually been blogging as well on other blogs, if that makes sense. I've been blogging a lot around the internet. I'm actually probably got more content published about this stuff around various sites than pretty much anyone. So basically, I've been thinking about this a lot, is the point of this. And obviously, I'm the founder of Tourism Tiger. We're the world's #1 web design business for tour and activity operators. We've got clients in every single continent besides Antarctica. So if you know anyone with a tour business in Antarctica, please put them in touch, because this is it's a set that I want to complete. So yeah, that's me. Let's talk about you. It is time for us to go pro. It's 2016. The internet is mature now. It's probably been mainstream for about 20 years, the internet. And that means that just having a website is not good enough anymore. Just doing the basics is just simply not good enough if you want to win the market. And why do I say that? Because every day tour operators are starting up who have grown up online, and they get this. Tour operators starting up who've worked for marketing agencies, who have experience of prior businesses at marketing online. Basically, you're competing against people who have the time or the money to go out and either learn it or pay for it. So for us to even just stay at the same level we're at, we need to go pro. And obviously, if we're going to grow, we need to do this really well. So the first thing I need to tell you is that if you think small, you're going to stay small. And as another way of putting this is, you can't make money without spending a bit of money. But if you look at the businesses that have multiple, huge buses, and they're running tours, and they're taking 500 people a day, how do those guys get started? They didn't get started in nearly all cases just walking around. They started on their path to growth and success by actually investing something up front. Money is obviously one thing. If you don't have money, then you just got to put on your boots, you got to put on your gloves, and you just got to be prepared to work way harder than them. Because if we think small, we're going to stay small. I've had so many conversations where I tell people about a certain amount of tactics or things they need to do, and they're like, "Oh, that sounds good. How much time will it take me?" And then I say, "Well, it could take you 40 hours to implement this one tactic." And people are like, 40 hours? That's like a whole work week. But imagine if you can spend 3 months full-time working on improving your business over the course of, say, the next 18 months, you set yourself up with a great business for life, potentially. So you got to think about it. Am I going to invest more time, or am I going to be prepared to invest more money? So, all right. So let's dive into it. So basically, there's 5 pillars that you need to implement correctly in order to have a successful online marketing campaign. But the first thing I need to mention is that without an incredible product, which is the first pillar, you're going to have a really hard time. You see, you might be thinking about right now, like I know of many successful businesses that don't seem very good at online marketing, and obviously there's many reasons for that. Maybe they have good local marketing, but the reality is that if you have an incredible main product, it just makes everything else so much easier. And the way we define this is it really easy for us to sell this thing, or is it hard? Not, do I think it's an amazing product? Everyone thinks their own product is amazing, but does your product click with the market? Do people just look at it and say, I want to do that? Do people just get excited about it straight away? We have a client who has a business where they do tours through a wine region in the world, and on the surface it looks very attractive, but actually have a really hard time selling the tours, despite the fact that online marketing is pretty good, just because their product is the same as everyone else's. There's nothing special about it. Nothing doesn't get people talking. That it doesn't get people excited. So I'm going to be going to that in a second, but there's a few typical problems that people have. First one is that a niche is too small. So this is really common, that I can look at TripAdvisor today and I'll go to, say, Melbourne, my home city, and I'll see someone offering chocolate tours in Melbourne. And it's obviously not doing very well, because as a niche, chocolate is extremely small, It's not really a thing in Melbourne, which means I have to somehow convince hundreds of people every single week to somehow you sort of decide to take my tour, despite the fact that Melbourne doesn't even have a special chocolate culture. So you might think, oh well, everyone loves chocolate, but don't forget, if someone visits your city, they have a limited amount of time. They want to do the things that one must do in your city, right? If they can be convinced of doing something else, it has to be something pretty special. Next thing is that your product is not unique enough. So obviously this kind of is the counterbalance to what I just said. So obviously if you're doing the exact same thing as everyone else, that this creates its own issues. The third thing is obviously that your execution is poor. Now this is becoming more and more important nowadays. So if you start a tool company and you just get like a generic minibus and you just have a generic logo and a generic website and a generic concept, the reality is that people are not going to be hugely excited about that. People aren't going to be recommending your tour all that much unless you've put a lot of effort into making it an amazing tour. So obviously you guys are from Kelsey's audience. You should understand by now that one of the smartest things you can do is buy one of Kelsey's courses, because the information he has is ridiculous. Every time I go to one of his webinars, I learn so much. And that kind of information helps you understand what makes your product excellent. So if you're not proactively investing in improving your product, there's a good chance that your execution is poor. So some tips. The first one is explore the world for ideas. So what I like to do is visit some of the most competitive and popular markets and see what's doing really well in those markets. Number two, take something popular and add a twist. So this is a really common path to success nowadays, where someone basically takes a really popular tour. And my favorite example is a company in San Francisco, but I'm going to go with something different. Basically, we've got a client who's he's launching very soon. He has an old school bus in Portland, Oregon, where he's actually renovating the entire bus, and it looks amazing. It's slick, it's beautiful. He hasn't launched it yet, so I'm not allowed to show you, but in the town that he's at, he hasn't even launched it, hasn't even got a website, hasn't even started marketing it, but he's already starting to book out for the weekends following his launch date, because the word of mouth is just getting around. Because he's taken something popular, which is tours of the area around Portland, and he's added a twist, which is this incredible renovated school bus. And the next one kind of comes back to what I just said, which is piggyback off your area's strengths. So don't look for chocolate tours in Melbourne. Obviously, find some sort of strength of your area that people really want to see. Take a tour, add a twist to it, and that can really help. So adding the twist can be a creative vehicle or a creative concept. You'll find out if it's too niche or not that exciting when you actually see the reaction from the market. But I would recommend testing the idea first, just running it by people and seeing how cool they think it is, even though that's not a very reliable metric. But if you can do any sort of form of testing, or just even trying to sell a concept to people before you actually invest in it, then you can test whether the idea is good or not. The last one is mix and match. So basically, mixing and matching, classic example is your bike and winery tour, right? A lot of people like doing bike tours, a lot of people like doing winery tours. Put it together, and you've got a really solid product. So another one could be bike and food tours. And this is one of the reasons I really love food tours, is because if you do it properly, it can replace a walking tour. So it's like a mix and match. I've got a walking tour and I've got a food tour. All right. So Adele Gutman is an expert who she works for, I think the name of it is the Library Collection of Hotels in New York. And I think last time I checked, they had 4 of the top 10 hotels in New York in terms of TripAdvisor rankings. And they have a CARE model, which is cared for, appreciated, and respected at every encounter. And I'm sure Kelsey would agree that this is a good model, but I'm sure he has even better. And then the last point here is aim to be the absolute best in your market. Invest in your knowledge, invest in your product, and invest in your market. Cool. So we've got product out of the way, but the main focus today is something that we call funnels. So without understanding the concept of the funnel, it's 2016, your business is going to struggle to achieve liftoff. So what do I mean? So there's a monster that's in the corner, and slowly but surely that monster is sucking sales out of our business. You guys are probably aware that out of 100 people that visit your website, you're probably lucky to get 2 book a tour. What happens to those other 98 people? This is a monster that's known as the leak. There are so many steps that someone takes from never having heard of us to being a repeat customer. And each one of those is a defined stage. I'm going to be walking through some of them today. And at every single one of those stages, we can lose customers. And every single one of us struggle with this. There's not a tour operator in the world that has a perfect funnel. There's not a tour operator in the world that does not have leaks. So everyone should be paying attention to this. Even the best tour operators in the world who have the best marketing systems, they can improve their system to get even more sales and stop losing sales. So I'm going to be going through some of the biggest factors that cause you to lose sales and how to plug those leaks. Because if you think about it, it's not about getting more sales. It's almost trying to the game is more about who avoids the least loss, right? So who loses the least amount of sales. So let's just say at the moment I'm losing 98% of sales, right? 98% of visitors to my website. If I take that down to losing 97.8%, right? So that means I'm gone from converting 2% of my traffic to 2.2% of my traffic. Sounds tiny, just a 0.2% increase means I've increased my online sales by 10%. Think about that. If I can take the amount of sales I'm losing from 98% to 97.8%, my business increases by, well, at least my online sales increases by 10%. That's a really powerful realization for people to have. So let's start looking at it a bit more detail. So let's just say I have 10,000 visitors. This is a diagram that we've taken from another website, but let's just say I have 10,000 visitors. They convert at 5%, which is an extremely high conversion rate. Let's just say they do. The average one spends $50 on a tour. Transaction per customer, they're doing 1.5 tours. 80% profit margin because it's a walking tour equals $30,000 in final earnings. If I can increase every one of these steps by, say, just 10 to 20% or even more, I can double my business just by putting a little bit of improvement. So I can go from 5 to 6%, average customer value $50 to $60, transactions per customer 1.5 to maybe 1.8. Going $50 to $60 means I've improved my profit margin even more. Then I can pretty much double, if I do this correctly, double my final earnings. So there's some real excitement here. But one thing is, don't get distracted by that 5% conversion rate. But if we can get to that, that would obviously be a miracle and we'll all be rich. And that's the goal. So I really want you guys to focus on something here, which is the only thing that matters for your website is what customers or potential customers actually do. Nothing else matters. Not your logo, not your photo, not your photos, not your colors, not your opinion of what works on online marketing or what my opinion is of online marketing. The only thing that matters is what customers actually do. If I have a website that has pink kittens and dancing unicorns and this causes customers to sign up, I'm going to put pink kittens and dancing unicorns on my website. I don't care about if I don't like that or not, because the only thing that matters is what customers actually do. So I really want you guys to stop for a second, just pause, and just be really open to what I'm going to share to you today, because everything I'm sharing to you is based on a lot of research and a lot of experience. So the very first leak that we can have is low and poor quality traffic. See, every source of website traffic has its own power. TripAdvisor, Google searches, Google AdWords, Facebook visitors, visitors from Twitter, every single one of those sources of traffic represents someone who's in a different state of mind. Do you even know which source of traffic converts better for you? Do you know if visitors from TripAdvisor convert at a higher percentage than people say from AdWords or Facebook? The difference is incredible. With our own website, LinkedIn, get this, LinkedIn, people who visit from LinkedIn are 5 times more likely to sign up for our email list than visitors from Twitter. 5 times. So we're not talking about little differences here. The source of traffic can make a huge difference to your business. So you need to know which source converts better for you. So I understand Google Analytics is something that can be really difficult to understand. So if you're lost in analytics, you should start with this metric. Where does each of your sales come from? And it's beyond the scope of this webinar to show you how to do that. But even if you don't know how to use Google Analytics, it's very simple. Just ask every single customer, how did you find us? And obviously many of them are incorrect memories, but if you can at least start from that point, this is a great way to do it. And we've put up guides about how to set up goals in Google Analytics where you can actually track the exact traffic source of every single lead or sale. And you can check that out. But at the very end, at the start of the day, this is the number that I really believe you should focus on. Where does each sale come from? Because this means you can start working to increase the amount of traffic you get from that source. So let's just say Facebook has been really great to you. That's pretty doubtful unless you have a really excellent Facebook strategy. But let's just say Facebook is an amazing source. Then you can start dialing up on that and leave Google AdWords alone. Or vice versa. But you have to know the answer to this question. If you don't know the answer to this question, the amount of money you're probably leaving on the table is insane. So what are some traffic types? So there's paid traffic, and I would say don't be scared to try this. So there's Facebook, as I mentioned, which can be good for some niches for sure. I know a guy who's doing over $1 million a year, and I know two guys who are doing over $1 million a year in sales of tours. Nearly 100% of that is coming from Facebook. Both of those guys are selling multi-days experiences. Then there's AdWords. Then there's pre-sold. So these are the people who've already bought the tour, then come to your website. So this is when you sell tours through Get Your Guide or Viator. You pay a very high percentage, but at least that sale is guaranteed. So on our website, if you visit it, tourismtiger.com, you're going to automatically see a message encouraging you to download a guide for the 92 places to list your tour, where you can get some of this pre-sold traffic. Another one is marketing campaigns. So say local marketing campaigns that encourage people to visit the website. Another one is organic Google traffic, so trying to increase your traffic in Google. The second leak that causes a lot of people to lose a lot of sales is a poorly constructed website. So you might think, well, I'm not an expert in web design. What actually matters? And the most important thing, according to surveys, is that the website makes it easy to find what I want. 76% of people say this is the most important thing to them. And I can tell you that there is only a tiny percentage of tour operator websites that get this right. Because just because it's easy for you to find, that's just because you know where to go. What if someone's never visited your website before? So 76% of people say it's important that the website makes it easy to find what I want. 10% of people say the website has a beautiful design, and we can thank Steve Jobs for that one. And the third one is that the website has a cutting edge experience. This is the most important thing. And that's what 9% of people say. So as you guys can see, that beauty is a thing, it matters, but only to a certain percentage of people. Far and away, the most important thing is ease of use. And obviously, to round out the rest of that percentage is other. So this comes from HubSpot. So how do we actually deliver that? And how do we actually know that it's really easy for people to find the information that they want on our website? So we've got something that we call the drunk grandpa principle. So the drunk grandpa principle is really simple. Let's just say you got your grandfather drunk, right? If he's still alive, or anyone that you may know, maybe your great uncle. Let's just say you were, 75 years old or 80, whatever the case may be. You tip a little. You go around to their house. You pour them a couple of glasses of wine. You leave them alone for an hour. You come back. You put your website in front of them. Would they actually understand your website and what to do? I doubt it. And this is actually an extremely hard challenge to meet. But if it's relatively easy for someone who has no idea how to use the internet, for them to understand how to use your site and understand what it is you do, you're on the path to success. So imagine if there's like a range. One end of the range is we have the world's #1 internet expert, like we've got Mark Zuckerberg or something like that. And on the other end, you got your drunk grandpa who's had a bottle of wine. We have to get as close as we can to our poor drunk grandpa, because there's a lot of people who use our websites who are not particularly internet savvy, right? So one step to that is obviously to have an incredible plus easy to use mobile design. Now, given that over 50% of Google searches are on mobile, it shocks me how many tour operators are still so focused on their main website. right? And even just the fact that you guys would think of it as your main website, and you knew exactly what I was thinking of when I said main website, is a problem. Because your main website nowadays is mobile. Your desktop website is now secondary. If it's not secondary right now, it's secondary very soon. Because mobile traffic is exploding. That means that you can't just say, oh yeah, my website's optimized for mobile. That's like saying, I have a car. Is your car a Rolls Royce, or is it beat up and it's 20 years old and can barely move anymore? Mobile design is harder to get right than desktop design. It's not just a case of resizing the boxes. You need to nail it. And one way to really help you understand is literally just get people to load your website on mobiles and just watch what they do. It's amazing the impact that this can have on your own mentality, just to see, so you can see the points of confusion and stuff like this. You need to have really big, clear headlines, big, clear buttons and photos. And this is what I was talking about. So this helps you solve the drunk grandpa problem. It helps you make easy mobile design. It's to have headlines that are extraordinarily clear, buttons that are extraordinarily obvious, and photos that really communicate what it is you actually do. So not being overly artistic, but also being sure, though, to have nice big photos that are very communicative. And I've just been reading a design book, actually. It's by a guy called Don Norman, I believe his name is. And it's called The Design of Everyday Things. So basically, every single thing we design has two things. One of them is called affordance, and the other one is called a signifier. So affordance is what is possible. A signifier shows us what is possible. So let's just say I go to a door, right? It's a door that I can push or pull that has no label. I just have to guess. How many times have you walked into a store and you try to push, but it turns out you have to pull and you're trying to figure out how to get in? This applies to websites as well. So basically, that door should obviously have a very big, clear thing saying pull. But our websites, does your website have the equivalent? And the equivalent is a very big, clear headline, very clear buttons, really clear text and all that kind of stuff. Very clear text is so important. If you go to any of the major websites around the world nowadays, you go to Google, or if you go to New York Times, you'll notice that they all put black text on a white background. And it's very readable. And the reason they do this is because study after study after study has shown that the readability of text actually affects website user engagement. And I'll tell you something about me. So I actually have a bit of difficulty with my own vision. I struggle to differentiate text against a dark background. So especially if it's in paragraph. So if you have, say, a dark blue background on your website, or maybe a dark gray or a black or brown or red or whatever the case may be, and you have paragraphs of text, I will not even consider going with your business unless I absolutely have to, unless there is literally no other option. Because that's how much I hate not being able to read the text on websites. Because it actually gives me a headache. And I'm not just like talking about a metaphorical headache. I'm talking about an actual headache because I have issues with my vision. Just think about that one circumstance. But then think about back to drunk old grandpa. Maybe he doesn't have his glasses. Maybe you have someone who, just struggles just to read small text. I mean, there's so many circumstances here. We need to make sure that our text is super readable. So I want to give you guys an example because I've just loaded up a lot of information on you. So this is an example of a customer that we had, and we tripled their sales. Now, this is a very unusual result. Obviously, it's very rare for us to just take someone and boom, triple their sales, but we tripled their online sales. And this is a beautiful website. You guys would probably agree with this. This website looks a lot better than pretty much all tour operators out there, but they failed on some clear points. Now, remember how I told you about the door that should say push? Now, if you probably won't realize this, but that photo of the guy in a kayak and the photo of the girl on a paddleboard, those are actually links to tours. You have no way of knowing this. This is like the door that with no instructions. We should be very, very clear about what everything tells us, what every step should be and how to arrive to that step. You'll see the headline of the website says Everyday California, a state of mind. What does that actually mean? Or if we say, welcome to our website, welcome to John's Tours, or even if we don't have a headline, that's even worse. We just expect people to sit there and sort of start figuring out how to navigate our website. It's suicidal. We need to have an extremely clear headline and an extremely clear button telling people what we do, why pick us, and what action we want them to take next. So you can this is the website we built, right? You compare these two. Aesthetically, You might even say this one looks better, but this one gets triple the sales because it follows the principles. So remember what I said to you guys at the very start. It doesn't matter at all what you think about a web design. It only matters what a customer does. Only matters what a customer does. They can see the headline. They've got very clear places to click. Everything's extremely literal. Kayaking tours, snorkeling tours, paddleboard rentals. Triple the sales. All right, so I know I just dropped a lot of information on you, so I'm just going to allow you to take a quick breath. Going to drink a little bit of water myself.
Am I allowed to breathe, Matt?
Kelsey, you are allowed to breathe. So thanks for tapping in. What do you think so far, Kelsey?
I think that was amazing. I love what having those two side by side yesterday, because I think there is a lot of obsession, even with my own website, as we were talking about beforehand. I'm always thinking about like, oh, how should it be prettier? You know, we tend to think like that is something that's super important, and that might be the thing that's turning people off. But I think that was a nice reminder that the website has a function. What is that function? And then how to most efficiently get people through. And yeah, right. Just like having the simple labels, like even on my own website, I made this note last time on a workshop too, but I don't have a super clear tagline. So when people come, maybe to even be a better guide for the first time, what is a tagline that can quickly explain what it is we do? And that was super clear in that example you just talked about.
Yeah, I think that it's a great point that you make. Obviously, you know, if we're selling tours, aesthetic can come into it, but it has to serve a purpose, right? So I will be touching on that, I think, after this quick breather. But something we find when talking to customers or potential customers is they get hung up on incorrect things. So occasionally, sometimes people will go down a different path because they're not focused on effectiveness. They have some other thing in mind that's important. Maybe they want to have a super custom design, or they want it to look beautiful. But the reality is that if you're not focused on effectiveness, you're losing a lot of sales. It's not like you can choose one or the other. Oh, you can only choose one, right? So if you can only choose one, what do you choose? Do you want to keep on having your opinions about what it works, or do you just want to sit back and enjoy the sales, right? And so it's a really funny. I think once people really clicks that this is the choice that they have to make, once it really clicks, people understand it and they go with the process. But obviously, I really would encourage people to hear, just to really accept that everything we're saying here is not. We're trying to move away from opinion-based design, and we're trying to move to fact-based design and evidence-based design. Okay, so cool. I think I'm going to keep on going. I'm just too excited. Hope everyone's enjoyed the breather. So, leak 3 is poor content and photos. Obviously, if you have a well-organized website and you have ugly photos or non-community photos, it can really hurt. So I need to ask you a question. How much effort have you actually put into writing and refining your content? And we have found that this is such a big problem in the industry that we actually used to, in our service, we used to get our clients to write their own content and give them guides how to do it. But what we've discovered is that this is something that people just find so much difficulty in doing that we actually started making it. It's now part of our service that we'll actually write and refine the content. But the thing is, if you're going to have online sales for your own website, how much effort have you actually put into writing and refining the content? It's a really important question to ask yourself. When was the last time you actually sat and reviewed and improved your content? And I'm talking about the actual written words, which are extremely important. I'm talking about photos, and I'm talking about video. So is your written content so well structured that one can easily scan for the key points? Is it well written? Basically, this is a really common problem in probably a huge majority of tour operator websites. I go visit their websites, and I'm just interested in I just want a little bit of information. I'm not sold yet, if that makes sense. So we need to think. Okay, everyone has a different mentality in the stage of their visit. So some people, they're just trying to find some basic information, like I talked about earlier. So does our website make it easy for them to find that key information? So then they can then make the decision to keep on reading the rest of the website. If it's just paragraphs and paragraphs of information and not bullet points, it's where it's broken down, then it could be the case that you lose the occasional sale just because someone is unable to find the information they're looking for. They make an assumption about your business which is incorrect, and then they go to someone else. It is well written. So and I'm not talking about using overly flowery language. I'm talking about just, is it actually well written? Do you have incredible photos? So these are kind of photos that really bring people into the circumstance, and if they look at that and say, I want to do that, that's great. Could it seem like an amazing Facebook profile picture? Even better. Do you have video? So one thing we found, we do user testing from time to time, where we put websites in front of people, and they're like, yeah, okay, this seems like a nice business, whatever. Then they watch the video, and once they finish the video, they're like, I want to go with that guy. I want to go to New York right now, and I want to have a tour with him. That is how much of a difference video can make. Are you dealing with FUDs? So FUDs are basically, it stands for fears, uncertainties, and doubts. So a big reason people won't sign up for us is because sign up with our tour is there's a key question that we haven't answered. So it could be, what if I'm not going to see any whales that day? Or what happens if it rains? Or how good is the equipment? Because someone criticized the equipment a little bit in a review on TripAdvisor, and now I'm on your website looking to see photos of the equipment. This is a really important thing. So we need to show credibility by demonstrating our experience, maybe our industry memberships and all that kind of stuff, but also speaking specifically to the things that can worry people. So you might have an FAQ. This is something, you just got to weave it into the whole experience. So will I see kangaroos, for example, if I'm going to do a bike tour? You might mention 3 different times in the tour description that they'll see kangaroos guaranteed. Maybe it's the subtitle of your website. Adelaide walking tour, subtitle right there, see kangaroos guaranteed. Bang, right? How well are you clearly dealing with the specific fears, uncertainties, and doubts that someone would have? And you've got my book. So my book will give you a lot more detail about all of these 5 points, and the video course as well. So the last one is, the last leak, which is causing us to lose many, many sales, is lack of retention. And I'm not aware of any tour operator in the world. I don't care about the size of the business. I'm literally aware of 0.00 that are getting this fully correct. So listen up. The 4 fours should really, the 4 R's. The first R is, do you know what the percentage of bookings is that come from referrals? So referrals are really key. Basically, let's just say I spend $10 in advertising per customer that comes on my tour. So I spend $10 in advertising, and the tour is $150, right? Let's just say that $150 guest refers someone else to me who comes with me 2 months later. That means for that $10 of advertising, I've now got $300. So what is the percentage of bookings that come from referrals? This is how you really maximize the effort on your marketing spend. And what are some things you can do even to incentivize people, or ideas you can use to refer their friends or even bring their friends? So this is an interesting concept, because it's not going to work for all tour companies, but this comes way back to what I was talking about. Go buy Kelsey's course if you haven't done that, because it's not just about incentivizing and offering discount codes and all that kind of stuff, although that may be able to help you. It's about giving it such a good experience that your guests, if they're in a conversation about the city they went to, they cannot help but mention the experience they had. They uploaded their photos with you, amazing selfie smile, and people are like, oh, wait, who was that guy you were with? Would you recommend him? Really, really important. But the only way for you to improve it is to measure it. So you need to know what is the percentage of bookings that are coming from referrals, and start exploring specific strategies to improve it. The next one is review. So before getting the review, all that kind of stuff, before focusing on the hacks, like little tricks to improve the amount of 5-star reviews, focus on the quality of your product, because nothing will affect your TripAdvisor rating and the rating on whatever website you want to pick more than the actual quality of your product. So you can have really great tricks to ask people for reviews, but if you don't have an amazing experience where you've invested into every single step of the process, and it isn't just having amazing bikes or amazing kayaks. If you do kayaking in Florida, for example, it's about investing into every little touch of the customer experience from the very, very first time they speak to you. Are the people answering the phone super friendly? Are we measuring that? That first point when they arrive, are people just sitting around waiting, or is someone actively greeting them as they come in and having maybe a little get to know you conversation? Really focus on the quality of your product. But one way to obviously get a review is, we can follow up, but what everyone will know who's been in a tour operator game for more than 2 minutes is that it's really, really hard to get people to actually leave reviews. So one way to do that is obviously you can write in an email saying, please leave me a review, but what you should really be doing is the subject line should be welcome home or something like that, or something that's not related to give me a review. So once they open the email, they read a little bit about it, you kind of re-engage the connection, and then in that same email, ask for the review. So average rating is like everything. So far and away, the biggest thing in the TripAdvisor algorithm is your average rating. So you don't want to be asking for reviews from everyone. You need to protect your average rating, like a fierce cat, or even a dog, or even like a fierce cat-dog combination. What would actually happen if what would actually happen if someone came to you and they're a bit unhappy? What direction do we push them in? It's really, really difficult. It's such a difficult experience to, even when you know you're in the right, to basically cede to a customer. But we need to protect that average rating at all costs. So that means, let's just say you have a guide that they're allocated to, and that person's sick, and you have to bring in someone else. What should be happening is, especially if that fill-in guide is not to the same level as the guide you're replacing, is contacting every customer and say, hey, by the way, the guide we had allocated to your tour, he's actually sick right now. We've allocated another one. He's well trained and all that kind of stuff. Do you want a refund? Do you want to change your? Do you want a tour? Obviously, this depends on your own personal circumstance, by the way, right? So if you got a 10-day tour, you can't just like start refunding everyone. But you say, look, but at least get ahead of it. Don't let it be a surprise. So get in touch with these people and say, hey, look, just wanted to let you know that Kelsey won't be the guide today, and I know you're really, really, really wanting to go with Kelsey because he's one of the top guides, but we've got this other guy, his name's Mark, he's part of our company. He's going to be taking you on the tour. If you do have any concerns or any issues, just let me know. If you have any concerns at all about the tour or anything like that, just get in touch with me, and I'll make sure to take care of it. So they felt the reach out from the owner who's showing that they cares, that there has been a bit of a change in the schedule, that maybe things won't be exactly as planned. Maybe there's a change in the hotel. See if you can find a way to make that up to them as well. So maybe you just throw in an extra bottle of wine on the tour or something like that. Next thing, are you responding to all reviews? So this is a really interesting fact that companies that respond to all reviews, number one, receive a higher average rating, and they receive more reviews. And the obvious reason for both of these things is because if people can see you responding to reviews, this means they can see you actually reading your reviews, which means they feel that it's actually worth their time leaving you a positive review because they know you're going to read it. So are you responding to all reviews in a really personal, friendly, non-generic way? The last thing is, are you analyzing all reviews for potential improvement? So this is something I heard Kelsey say the other day, and it's totally true. Basically, you need to go through TripAdvisor and look at not just your own reviews, which it could be 5-star reviews, but also look at the reviews from other companies in your area, companies that do similar things around the world. Look at all of the negative things people have said, even in 5-star reviews, and see if you can improve your own business based on what they have said or those people have said. So we have a client who's number one in a very competitive tourism market. He has an incredible rating. He's been either number one or number two for the last 3 years in TripAdvisor in, like I said, a very, very competitive tourism market. I think it's one of the top 20 markets in TripAdvisor in the world. And he's just a little business. He helps people with tours. And this is what he says, Señor Secret. He says, I make sure to give everyone the best time possible, but I only ask for a review from the people who I've built the deepest connection with. Really interesting. And back to Adele Gutman, she says, the secret is our people. We hire happy people who love to be of service, and we train them and coach them to create a sense of pride in people pleasing. And if you do hire guides, obviously Kelsey's got a course coming out really soon, which is about how to hire and train amazing guides. So The next two R's are retain. So this is one of the big ones that everyone misses. So basically, if someone comes to my website and I know that there's a very small chance that they're going to buy on that visit, what am I actually doing to bring them back? So before I go into that content, obviously, if someone has a really great experience on my website, they're more likely to come back. So with our very first customer that we ever signed up, our very first client, he's based in Australia. He actually experienced a 50% growth in website visitors coming back with no additional strategy than just to have a better website that's easier to use. 50% increase in people coming back. So that's the first key. Make sure you have a great website. But then, what are some other things we can do? Well, we can create like maybe a downloadable guide for our city, and nothing overly complicated. Maybe if it's a food tour sort of experience, like maybe the 5 hidden food, my 5 favorite hidden food spots of Madrid, or it could be something to do with like hidden secrets or maybe even mistakes. And then after that, we send them an email stream where they just receive some automatic tips, and you can do this from MailChimp or ActiveCampaign. They're two tools that we like. I'll repeat those names: MailChimp and ActiveCampaign. ActiveCampaign is our favorite. And what happens is they can just receive this stream of emails, and they're super stoked because they've got this expert who's always reminding them that they're there and giving them amazing tips. And obviously in those emails, you might offer discount codes, or you might say, hey, reply and tell me when you're coming to Madrid. I'll try to work out something for you. The next one is use retargeting. So I'd be really interested to see, actually, I really wanted to click away from my screen right there, but then I just realized it's going to create a chaos of people looking like the down the funnel of my screen. But basically, what is retargeting? Very few people know what this is, but they've experienced it. So retargeting is when you visit a website and then you go to Facebook and suddenly you're seeing ads for that website. Have you guys ever seen that? This is actually not that difficult to set up. Actually, I take that back. It is somewhat difficult to set up, but it's totally worth doing. So using retargeting means that you're only advertising to people who've already visited your website. That means they've shown through their actions that they kind of actually are interested in the kind of thing you're selling. So there is a bit of strategy to doing it right, but even just at doing it at the most basic level, just showing maybe someone an ad for 3 days after they visited your website, just reminding them that you're still there, that as they're in the decision process, can be really, really helpful. So next one is we need to respond really rapidly to emails and phone calls, and we need to use systems to track this. We need systems to measure this, and we need systems to notify us when emails and phone calls have come. So rather than just checking my email every now and then, what you should be doing is maybe you have a notification coming through to your phone, and that's not too difficult to set up on your phone. Respond really quickly to phone calls and all that sort of stuff. Part of the reason why I only book tours with operators who have online booking software is because I've traveled enough, and I think most experienced travelers would be able to relate to know that tour operators are generally really terrible when it comes to responding to messages. So I don't even bother with this anymore. So if you can break that cycle and respond really quickly to emails, phone calls, WhatsApp messages, whatever the case may be, it's really going to help you retain those visitors and convert even more. The last thing we need to be talking about is repeat customers. So what have we done so far? We've gotten the referrals. So we're helping to get their friends onto the trips. We've got an amazing review from them. We're helping to sell. We're getting even better at selling tours to people who visited our website but haven't yet made the decision. But the last step is the repeat customers. So what is the number of people who are repeating with your business? And a lot of people say that their business is not really appropriate for repeat business, and maybe that could be the case, but I think you may be surprised. So do you have any repeatable tours? Maybe it could be worth setting up something to make it easier for someone to come back with you. So maybe I'll give you a really perfect example. So we have a client in Melbourne, Australia, and they do winery tours. And because Melbourne, for those who are unaware, Melbourne is one of, it has a lot of wine around it, amazing wine region. And in a specific wine valley called the Yarra Valley. And if someone wants to do a tour of Melbourne in Australia with this wine, they're going to go on this tour, right? But the thing is this, once they've done that tour, they want to do more tours with this company, and that company didn't have any options. So they realized we need to go tours, maybe two of the other wine regions. So now they've created 3 tours, and I think 20% of their business is now customers repeating to go on these other 2 tours. 20% of their business, which goes right back to what I was talking about. If you can get $150 in revenue, say, per tour, and you spent, say, and $10 would be a really great result. But let's say you spent $10, right? So 20% of 150 is 30. So now you're getting $180, right, for $10 spent on advertising instead of 150. Have any secondary offerings? And what I mean by this is little add-ons that you can add to your tour. So maybe we can talk about hotel upgrades if you do multi-days, airport transfers. That's practical for you. Maybe extend their tour by additional 2 hours by doing this additional experience, stuff like that. So one thing that walking tours do, obviously, is that some clever walking tours do anyway, is they finish a specific spot, and that spot gives them a referral fee if anyone actually takes up that offer of that next experience, so like a restaurant or whatever. So are you staying in touch with your past customers? Do you have a newsletter and a Facebook page that you're using effectively to communicate with them? One way to do this is to boost posts on Facebook. So basically, when you post on your own Facebook page, you may have noticed that Facebook's doing it nowadays at only, say, 3% or 4% of people actually seeing the post. But if you click boost post, you can make it such that 50 to 70% of the people like your page are seeing the post, potentially. So it's a really, really cheap way, by the way. So in my own experience, boosting, it can cost a lot if you have a really, really big audience. But obviously, if you have a big audience, you're willing to spend the money probably. But it can cost only just a few dollars. So it's definitely worth checking out. And last one is, can you incentivize? So one thing that there's a company in Berlin called Sandeman's Tours, and they're not just in Berlin, they're all over Europe. They're one of the world's most successful tour companies in terms of day tours and free walking tours. And one thing they do is they give you discounts to book a second tour. But interestingly, in the middle of the booking process, they try to upgrade you. So they're trying to make a repeat customer out of you even before you've gone on one tour. So you're booking a tour, and it says, do you want to book any one of these other tours? It's a 20% discount. I can't remember the exact figure, but I think it's around 20%. And obviously, by adding those tours, these tours are leaving every day anyway. They add 2 customers, and boom, all that cream. And last thing, are you actually asking people for the extra business? When someone finishes a tour with you, are you actively training your guides and measuring this to make sure that we're actually going for the repeat business? Or we just go, thanks, guys. Just so you know, we have a couple of extra tours. If you want to check them out, no, we need to be a bit more proactive and stuff like that. Maybe have a slightly more detailed presentation at the end of our tour. I think Kelsey I don't know, Kelsey, actually, do you want to unmute for a second?
Yeah, I'm here.
Right. So do you have any tips about this yourself? Is there any good ways where people can maybe ask for maybe good methods to incentivize or encourage or ask people to come on extra tours with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first thing that came to mind when we were talking about this, well, I guess I'll answer your question more directly. Firstly, is that absolutely that I think just building space into the end of the tour, one of the mistakes I think we see a lot is that, guides either leave very quickly after the end of a tour or they're overscheduled. So they've got to go right back out and meet more customers, because that time at the end is super valuable for talking about your other tour offerings, and in a really positive way. Like, you as a guide should really know those products in and out, and then also have gone on them too. So you can talk about oh yeah, if you are looking for that great, looking at going on that walking tour, it's amazing, and be able to talk frankly about the highlights. But one that was awesome, and this is just a story of here in Vancouver. There's a bridge. It's more than a bridge. What's it called? I'm blanking on the name, but it's basically a canyon bridge, Capilano Canyon, and it's it's about $30 to go into this. It's a stunning bridge over this canyon, and the gorge is stunning, and there's sort of treetop walks. It's great for families. It's definitely one of the things that would be a highlight if you're coming to Vancouver, and it's very close to the city. But I noticed one of the ways that they incentivized repeat customers, and I thought this was amazing. It says, hey, if you're a local and you can show an ID card that just basically says you're from this province or this state, we'll give you 30% off any friends you bring. So basically what they're doing is for people who are locals, who may have already gone to Capilano, who aren't, going back necessarily year after year, but all of a sudden I had a couple friends coming in. I had 3 friends coming in. I said, oh, have you been to the Capilano Canyon? Well, if not, we should totally go. And then I had that seed planted too, that, yeah, hey, I can get you guys 30% off just by coming with you. And like, that's a really effective way to maybe encourage some of those people that live in your local area to bring their visitors, their friends, their family, the people who are coming.
Wow. I'm really happy that I decided to ask you this. Just
yeah, isn't that a great idea?
Yeah, I love the idea. I love both of the things you just said, which is actually building space into the end of the tour to have those sort of more personal conversations one-on-one, and yeah, to create that sort of local friend incentive. I really like that. So awesome. Boom. Let's continue. So basically, the 4 R's actually represent the best website traffic you'll ever get. So you got TripAdvisor, great, right? Google, great. But like, think about that. Referrals, the people, Kelsey's friends, they barely even need to visit the website now. All they need to do, the visiting the website is just a transaction of just booking, so to speak, right? Or it could be the case that they have to visit locally to get that discount. But you guys kind of get what I mean. Referrals kind of make it so much easier. It means the website is really just a thing it needs to make. Instead of looking good, we just need to make sure it works really great so these guys don't get frustrated with us and just give up. So the referrals, obviously reviews on TripAdvisor, the better the reviews, the higher the score, the more likely these people are to book, right? Makes perfect sense because they're already mostly sold on the business. They've already at least read some amazing reviews. And then the website just has to close that deal. Obviously, if someone's a repeat customer, you've given them an amazing experience, then it is so much easier to convert that visitor. And then the last one is repeat website visitors. So the more, and this is, I think, if you want an additional Google Analytics number that's really important to track is what is my percentage of, well, even better, number of repeat website visitors. The more I can increase that, the better. So this is the absolute best website traffic. So I've just kind of walked you guys through the funnel. We've talked about the initial website visitor, how quickly and how easy does the website load, all that kind of stuff. The next thing is the content. Is it clear? Is it amazing? All that kind of stuff. Then wow, I'm mental blanking here. Then we Then we hit the 4 R's. I should have planned that a bit better, but we hit the 4 R's obviously. So basically, the entire process of the website, loading fast, being easy to use, being extremely clear, all that kind of stuff, it gives us a full package. So let's walk through that in just 2 seconds. But we're just minutes away from Q&A, so just hang around, and then obviously we're going to give you access to that big gift as well. This fully comprehensive video course. But basically, like I said, the only thing that matters for your website is what customers actually do. So this time I am going to switch away from my computer. I'm going to show you something that's really cool. It's known as a heat map. Just make sure I load up the right window. Sorry. Just while I navigate to that, a heat map is something that's really, really important. And it's really, really cool. So this tool, hotjar.com, is free actually for the basic use. And it really, really helps you to understand exactly where you may be losing visitors in your process. So I'm going to show you guys something just from one of our customers, the Everyday California, the one I showed you before. And the heat map, actually, you can physically see where people are hovering, where people are not hovering, all that kind of stuff. All right, so this is the home page, for example, and as it generates the heat map, is the way it works is you have several ways to do it. You can either choose from where people click, where people move, where people scroll. So check this out. We now know that the kayaking tours is extremely popular. So it helps you understand where people are actually clicking, where people are focusing, all that kind of stuff. So really, really key. So by using this kind of analysis, we can actually see what people actually do. Not just get Google Analytics, but Hotjar gives us a really great visual process of doing that. So we want to fix your leak. In fact, we guarantee it. Think about it. We have a 365-day money-back guarantee satisfaction. So you can decide how many sales you need to make this a worthwhile experience. That means it's literally risk-free. That's pretty much the closest thing to free money that you're ever going to get. Do you really need to know anything else? Do you actually need to know the price? I mean, I could charge you $1 million, right? But if I got you $5 million in sales, it doesn't even matter. It'd be the best $1 million you've ever spent, right? So, really you have to focus on that. If you really focus on effectiveness and increasing sales, then obviously website goes from being an expense to the best investment you've ever made. So, I'm going to walk you just through a little bit about what we do, because we have a completely different process, and we call it the ideals process. And this means that basically for us, building a website is not the end game, it's just the start. Building a website is step one. Step two is improving the website on an ongoing basis. So we call it the ideals process, like I said. And the first step is you need to investigate. I stands for investigate. And basically this means I'm talking about existing customers all benefit from this. So we build a website, that's literally step one, and then we engage in this process. The first step is to investigate. So we use Google Analytics, we use testing, we use heat maps, all that kind of stuff to really understand exactly how customers are navigating our client websites. The next thing is we come up with a few ideas and design and develop the change. And then what we do is we experiment. We put these changes out to a few of the websites we've built. We analyze the effects. Then we launch those changes to all of our current customers, which means our current customers never fall behind. We're constantly trying to close this loop, these leaks. It's impossible for a new technology to come and make your website irrelevant, because we will update your website for that technology. The last step is to start over, because this is a continuous process of ongoing improvement, and you can go check to see if there's any other web design company in the world that does this. You won't. We are the only company, I'm not just talking about tourism. We're the only company in the world that does this as a group, right? So we have all these websites we built, and we analyze and test them as a group, and as we learn things, we then go develop the changes and push them out to the whole group. Literally the only company in the world that does this. And you might be thinking, well, that sounds expensive. And yeah, you're right. It is. It's very expensive to do this kind of thing. So right now, this is a screenshot from a website that's called The Blacklight by a guy called Travis Northcott. And he offers a service where he won't build your website. All he'll do is analyze your website, pay a bit of attention to your data, he'll do some regular improvements to your site, split test those improvements, and give you a report. And for all of that, you get to pay $2,250 for over 3 months. So it's around, what is that? That's $750 per month, right? So you might think, well, that's really expensive. And I would say to you, no, that's actually very cheap. Because if you think about it, if this guy can find 20% of sales improvements, or even 10%, so if he can if this guy, Travis Northcott, can take your website from getting 98% of sales lost to 97.8% sales lost, your business has grown by 10%. For years, not just for 1 month, because this is an improvement that sticks on your website. So that's worth it. That's really worth it. But the good news is we don't charge you $750 a month. We actually charge $69 a month. So we only do this for the customers that sign up with us. So basically, the way it works is we build your website, and then on an ongoing basis, we host it, we manage it, we update it, we answer to your emails, we give you training on how to update your website. And then on an ongoing basis, all that stuff I just talked about in this webinar, you don't have to do that stuff. We'll do that stuff, or at least a lot of it. Anything that's in our power to do, we will do. And all of that, all of the things I just mentioned is $69 a month. So see these 5 reports that this guy's talking about? I mean, these 5 points. We do those 5 points and we do a whole bunch more, and $69 a month. So if you're thinking that I'm going to keep that pricing for forever, you're insane. But if you do sign up with us now, we'll let you keep that pricing. So one more thing. So just for those on this webinar, and you need to book a call with me today. So you don't have to speak with me today, but you need to physically book a call with me within the next 12 hours. And we're going to have a chat, and we're going to see if it actually makes sense for you. So the way it works is that in most cases, over 50% of cases, I'd actually tell someone, no, actually our service is not appropriate for you. You need to go talk to this person. So it's really relaxed and there's no pressure at all. But for those people who do book that call today, we'll include that Facebook retargeting setup for free. So we'll design the ads, we'll set it all up, and all then you have to do after that is just pay the little bit of advertising every week to Facebook so those ads get set up. So just a reminder, Facebook retargeting is for those people that visit your website, then they start seeing the ads again. It's a really great reminder that your business is still out there. Really great way to get people to come back to your website, and we will set that all up for you through in a really effective but basic setup. And we'll do that for free, but only for those people who book the call today. And obviously that means that you have to have signed up. So what I mean to say is that if you do sign up with us based on the result of the call you booked today, then we'll do the Facebook retargeting setup for free. We won't do that for just anyone, obviously. But if you do get the website with us, do sign up for that monthly, obviously, where we do all of those things, we'll also do the Facebook retargeting setup for free. So very, very shortly, we're going to be upping our prices probably within the next month. We're going to be we're going from $69 maybe to $99 or even more per month. And these will only be for new customers. So I really recommend if you're considering booking a call with us that you do so right now. And the way you can do that is to get your gift by going to tourismtiger.com/workshop7. That's tourismtiger.com/workshop7. So if you go to tourismtiger.com/workshop7, then all you have to do is you can click to book the call. You can also click to register for the video course. And yeah, now it's time to start with a bit of Q&A. So one thing, Andrea, who's our marketing manager, if you're listening, can you just please grab your laptop and bring it into the room? But just a bit of an admin thing there. But yeah, so guys, so just start putting your questions into the box there. There is a bit of a time delay between me speaking and you writing, but we're just about to get those Q&As. Really looking forward to answering those questions for you guys. So basically, you can ask questions about anything. So you can be asking questions about any of the content that I've shared today. You can be asking questions about obviously our service, Tourism Tiger. Maybe if you've got any questions for Kelsey, if he's still around. Hopefully that because the internet hasn't died or anything like that, then you can put those questions to him as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
Let's do that.
I just wanted to send a big thank you to Matt for going through that workshop. Once again, I have a page scribbled full of notes. I really like the 4 R's thing that you were talking about. I think that's just nice thing to maybe have on your office wall to be thinking about how we can work in all those directions. And if you are considering booking a call, I obviously work with a lot of businesses inside of our programs, our Lead Amazing Tours programs, and then now the Be a Better Guide Academy. And everyone that is with Tourism Tiger, who's had them come in and do an assessment of their website, has just been extraordinarily happy. It's amazing because there are so many horror stories about webmasters, about people who are committing to help you do your website, or they give you a quote and it's just for this one service. But then, as you know, if you have been in this business for a while, you constantly need to be tweaking. Your tours are changing. You need to be doing edits, and then you're finding more people, and the expenses tend to rack up. So the product and service that Tourism Tiger offers is just amazing in terms of value. And just for whatever that's worth, just are absolutely incredible things from businesses who have gone with Tourism Tiger and have just done a makeover of their website and are seeing these kinds of results, just big jumps in sales. So definitely worth, at the very least, a call. But I did want to ask Matt, just for people who might be catching this on the replay,
right?
And you said something about if they call you within 12 hours, just to clarify what that means for folks who might be watching this tomorrow or the next day.
So basically, all right, so if you're watching this right now, you need to book a call with us in the next 12 hours. If you're watching on the replay, I would say hurry up.
Okay, cool.
I'm not going to make any guarantees. I'll just say if you're watching on the replay, make sure you go to the live webinar next time, and I'll consider it. Just get in touch with us, and we'll have a conversation. But obviously, this is only something we can do for a very limited amount of time. So
sure, awesome. No, thanks for clarifying.
That. Yeah. So it's actually one thing that is funny that you kind of we'll get to the questions in just 1 second. We've got some good questions there already that I can see. But one thing I want to mention actually very quickly is you talk about horror stories, right? And a lot of people actually have really positive experiences with their first web designer and stuff like that. It's what happens next that's the problem. Because like I said, and like you just mentioned, getting a website is step one. It's not step A through Z. It's just literally get you the starting line and then what happens next. And so many people, we're the only company that doesn't have this mentality where everyone has this mentality of, okay, I'm going to build a website and then what happens next? It's not like the world stops moving. It's not that the world stops changing. It's not like your competitor doesn't redesign their website 2 years later or whatever, right? The environment we exist in constantly changes. Why would you build like a monolith, which is your website, which never evolves, never improves, never adapts to technology? I mean, if the purpose of getting a website is to help you get sales, then doing it that way is, I mean, you might as well just take $50,000 now and put it in your toilet and just stuff it down, because that's more or less the same thing you're going to be doing, right? All right, cool. Let's jump to the questions. So Laura says, I don't have the budget to make professional videos or get a professional photographer. Do you have any advice? This is a big problem for me right now. So that is an excellent question. I really, really want to thank you, Laura, for sharing this, because it shows that you understand the importance of this at least. And I understand not everyone has the budget immediately to do this kind of thing. However, there's a couple of things I can say to this. The first one is that professional photography is actually not as expensive as people would think. So if you haven't gotten a quote, I would recommend doing that, because it could be surprisingly affordable. The second thing is that there's other potential options you can do. So you may even put a message on your website saying, are you a photographer? I'm looking for a photographer. I'll give you a free tour in exchange for photos. That's one way to do it. Another way is to use something like Craigslist or something like that to find university students trying to build a portfolio. This can be a slightly hit and miss kind of thing. We've had customers do this kind of thing, and what happens is that the university student tries to start winning art awards. It's all black and white and crazy angles, when it's just like, you just give me color, give me vibrance, give me fun. So you need to make sure that these guys really have an understanding of what actually helps you sell, and that you're a business, you're not an art exhibition, so to speak. So, but that is another way, is to find students. Another way, obviously, is to get a decent camera. Now, I don't recommend using an iPhone. It's always a very difficult conversation when a customer gets in touch with us and like, hey, I just took a bunch of new photos on my iPhone. There's going to be new photos of my website. It's like, yeah, but maybe someone. I wonder. It's just like a basic mentality. I could have touched upon this earlier, but basically, we have something in the business called the weapon principle, and the weapon principle is basically, could your website serve as a weapon in a conversation where there's an argument about whether they should use you or not? Or if something goes wrong, then would it serve as an argument to justify why they made the decision? So have you ever been to a movie, Laura, and everyone else, where basically the movie's really bad and you took your friends along and you said, oh man, this is going to be amazing. And you walk out and maybe you're telling your boyfriend or your friend, whoever it is, and you're like, no, trust me, the reviews were amazing. Please, that's the weapon principle, right? Because the reviews became your weapon to cover you against bad decisions. Now, this actually becomes really important when it comes to people booking group tours. So people booking on behalf of, say, school groups or coach groups or whatever, they really don't want to get in trouble if they make a wrong decision. So they definitely want to make sure they go with the business that covers like credibility, guarantees, amazing photography, design, videos, all that kind of stuff. As many of those things you can tick, the more group tour bookings you're probably going to get. Right? And so I would recommend seeing if you can find a way to invest in this, even if it means buying a camera. Because even I'm not a very good photographer. I just learned, I've done a little bit of Googling, and even just a bit of Googling and having a better camera can help. So, I mean, there's a few tips. In terms of video, we get asked this a lot. It's amazing actually what you can do with video nowadays for a very limited price. So there's a website called Upwork.com where you can hire video editors to work for you from overseas who are not, say, in United States. They can work for you for $10, $15, $20. We've got one that works for us and helps to edit videos. So what you can do is you can take some video and then they can help spruce it up and make it look better. And also with photos as well, if you don't have really good quality photos, if you just go to Upwork and look for photo retouching, it's amazing how much work can be done after a photo's been taken by a professional. So that's one way as well to sort of really extract more value out of the photos and videos that you have. One more thing that I want to add to that, and I know this has been a very long answer, but hey, I love this topic, right? I'm passionate. You guys can probably tell this already. So the last thing I want to mention is that on your About page, I don't think necessarily you need a professional video. Obviously, you need to make sure it's not ridiculous that you're sort of standing in a room. So, this is obviously we're in our offices right now. So imagine if I'm standing in the office and I'm like, hi, my name is Matthew. I offer tours of blah, blah, blah. That's obviously the worst thing we can do. So when I talk about ranges, that's the very end of the range that you want to do. So even if I don't have a good quality camera, then what can happen is, maybe I'll use an iPhone, but I'll take it outside and make sure I'm actually in a place that we do tours. It's a bit relevant to my business, and be like, hey, my name's Laura. I do this and this and this. I just wanted to make a little quick video, just to introduce you to me. Really looking forward to being in touch with you. Just get in touch and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. And the whole idea of that is just so people can get a real feel for your personality. Because you can read one of my blog posts versus watch one of my videos. Obviously, you have a way different feel of what my vibe is like now that you've seen one of my videos. And I think that could be a really clever idea. Another way to use video, which I really like, is a couple of our clients have been doing this lately, is on their tour pages. So once someone visits to a page, towards the very bottom, they say like meeting point. Now they make like a selfie video, and they just got the camera out, and they just pointing themselves and like, hey guys, so it's John here from John's Tours, and I'm just at the meeting point for the tour that we're going to have. I'm really, really looking forward to having you on the tour. Really enjoying it. So all you need to do, and that is to do a bit of video of the area. Say, look, I'm at the corner of King Street and William Street. If you just look around, you'll see that I'm on the corner. Like I'm going to show you right now. There's a Starbucks behind me. I'm going to be standing outside this Starbucks at 11 a.m. for your tour, and I'm really, like I said, looking forward to coming with you, and can't wait to give you an amazing experience to show you my city. Right? That doesn't have to be a professional video because people understand the context. That doesn't even have to be. But once again, a really great way for people to get a feel of your vibe and all that kind of stuff. All right. Cool. Let's scroll up slightly, please. Okay. So Jessica says, I've tested out having a blog on my website, but I can't really tell if the blog has increased my traffic or sales. Do you recommend having blogs? This is a really interesting topic, actually, because most tour operators with blogs, it's just a complete waste of time. They shouldn't even be doing it. The idea of blogging is obviously to get more sales, right? Unless it's a hobby, then sure, have it as a hobby. But for most people, the idea is to get more sales. So we need to think, how do I blog in a way that's going to get me more sales? And like I said, I know people doing this incorrectly, but I also know a guy, literally 95% of his business comes from the blog. So it comes from people visiting the blog. And then they join his email list and he retargets them and whatever. And then they get curious and they navigate the rest of the site. So blogging can really work. A really big key, my book actually has a lot of detail about this, but a really big mistake I see people do is they blog about current events, right? So next Saturday, check out this thing that's happening in my city. That's useless because you blog and it's gone. You need to put up content that is going to be useful for years and years and years to people who are searching on Google. That's the first one. The second one is you need to be passionate about blogging. If you're just blogging literally just for the sales aspect, it's not a hobby, it's not a passion for you, then don't do it. If you can't immediately think of 50 posts that you could write, don't do it. Like if I I mean this, if I locked you in a room and I said, give me 50 blog topics right now, and you couldn't do it within the first hour, I would say don't do it. You need to have a whole wellspring of content that's relevant. So, stuff like how to arrive from the airport, it's good. But the more relevant it is, the better. So basically, if you're for a food tour, like I was just saying, I blogged into, I ran into a website the other day called Devour Madrid because I'm going to Madrid in a couple of months. And I was looking for information about food. And these guys had their blog posts everywhere. Every search I'm running about Madrid, their blog posts are there. Right, so especially when it's about food. So make sure it's as relevant as possible as your potential guest. That's evergreen. So evergreen basically means that it's valuable for a long time. That the content is as evergreen as possible. That it's as good quality as possible. That the content tries to actually drive a sale as well. So basically, you might try to get people to join your email list, and you'll retarget them. And this is important because if you push someone from the blog post just to the sale, then they're not warmed up enough. Basically, they need to get a bit of love from you first. So you might, at the end of every post, have a thing saying, hey, have you seen my free guide to the 5 top hotspots, the 5 top new food hotspots of Barcelona? Click here to download it. Bang, right?
Hey, Matt, I'll just chime in on that too. I just clicked on that. I think another way to rethink about it is, instead of thinking of like, oh, these are blog posts, is to create those as resources and like PDFs. And so a great thing that we talk about in Lead Amazing Tours quite a bit is thinking of all these touch points that you have with your customers. And you totally hit this in your workshop. So instead of thinking of that, I'm going to create that as a blog post, think about it as something that I could email to a customer at some point in that whole spectrum. So maybe it's when they just, you know, are on your website, you've got that guide there, just like Matt's saying. But another touch point is right after the tour. So maybe after they go back, maybe that's a way that you can differentiate yourself, make yourself more memorable, is like send them what would have been a blog post, but you're just going to send it to them as an extra value added. Hey, here's my favorite walking tour of Madrid. You know, it ends with this beautiful look off of the city, and then you've created this little guide for them. Suddenly that's going to make the biggest difference in terms of actually driving sales, because now you've got somebody who's wowed and delighted. You've just gone above and beyond for them. They go take a great photo. Maybe they post it on your TripAdvisor profile. Oh, I went on Matt's tour of Madrid, and then he gave this amazing walk. You've got somebody who's going to rave about you online. So creating that content can still be valuable, but it just may not be in the blog format unless you really want to commit to that strategy, like Matt's saying, which can be done.
Yeah, so that's another point to make as well. So basically, there's something known in the blogging world as repurposing. So basically, if you write a blog in such a way that the content is evergreen, that means you can basically take it and make a book out of it, for example, put a book on Amazon. It doesn't have to be a 150-page book. You can pay people online through Upwork.com, for example, to put together, format it for you very quickly, get it on Kindle, maybe make it $3, and anyone searching on Amazon for information about your city, your book's right there. It's another way to get the sale. So there's many ways to sort of use one piece of content. Actually, I just want to share before I get to the next question, and a random idea that I just had that I think could work really well, is that, you know, you go to, like I talked about retargeting, right? You go to Facebook and you see ads. I think one thing that's worth testing actually is if you're going to do retargeting, is just like that selfie video I was just talking about, nothing overly professional. In many cases anyway, depending on obviously your niche, but in many cases people are buying you, right? So they don't need something slick. So you make it like a basic video and then retarget people on YouTube. So set up an account so people can see videos of you on YouTube. It's really cheap actually. Or make it so people can see your video on Facebook and say, hey, it's Kelsey. Hey, it's Kelsey here from VancouverGuides.com. So appreciated that you visit my website. I'm really happy to answer any questions you have about tours in Vancouver or information. Always here. Just ask me the question below this video and I'll be more than welcome to help you out. I mean, I'd be more than happy to help you out. Something really simple, but it's like a really good way to sort of get people to stay in touch with your vibe as a person. Because it's now gone from you, like Kelsey, generic guy on the internet, versus Bob, generic guy on the internet, versus Laura, generic guy on the internet. It's gone Kelsey, the guy who's in my Facebook, who made a video, who seems nice, versus Bob, generic guy on the internet, versus Laura, generic guy on the internet, right? It just, I think, obviously I've never tested this idea, but I think as an idea, like the framework works. All right, Vesa there.
Did you see this question here from Vesa?
Yeah.
He said, with a limited budget, do you think I should focus on Facebook ads or Google AdWords?
Oh, man, this really depends on a lot of stuff. Depends on so much. For example, if you do day tours, I think the first thing to test is Google. Actually, if you either kind of tour, I would test Google AdWords first. If you're going to start playing with Facebook, I think the first place to do it is through retargeting. So I've already gone over it. Advertising to those people who've already visited your website. But AdWords is amazing if it can work for you. It's just like a spigot of cash in your business. So we have a lot of customers who are using it successfully, but most especially the multi-day ones. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any recommendations, and you don't have to, but of people who maybe are a little bit overwhelmed by Google AdWords, they've gone in, maybe they've set up an account. Do you know of anybody that helps tour activity businesses with either of those types of paid traffic?
I do. You mean like people who offer the service of helping, or?
Yeah, exactly. So I run Kelsey's Vancouver tours. I'm super busy. I've super overwhelmed by things like Google Analytics and Google AdWords. This is like basically describing me as well. But if I'm running a tour and activity business, are there other people that you would, like point to, or that could
Not
help
yet.
with that?
Unfortunately, not yet. And that's part of the reason why we're actually setting up a Google AdWords service next quarter.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, because I think that's a great business model idea, because I know people. And especially what's so great about it is that you can sort of, deliver the returns. It's like basically that we'll get you back the fee that you paid us, or your money back or something like that. Because the whole point of using those paid advertising is that you're getting more back than you're paying. And if you're not getting more back than you're paying, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Exactly. So for Google, the way Google AdWords consulting typically works is they typically charge us a percentage of spend, and generally it's in the 10 to 15% range of the spend. And if you think about it, a professional should be able to get a 10% better result than you, at least. So it's totally worth the money, because obviously they save you from wasting a lot of money on AdWords. And basically, we're going to take that Tourism Tiger Ideals process of investigate, design, and develop, experiment, analyze, launch, start over. We're going to take that same model and we're going to apply it to AdWords. So we're going to be very quickly, I think we're going to be far and away the most effective AdWords company for tour and activity operators, but we're not quite ready. So a few months away.
That's awesome. So turn to Google. There are people out there that can help with that if you're
urgently in need.
And that's always the thing that it's challenging. Like, I know we all have that limited budget, but at some point it's sort of like you make that investment to get the return. And with paid advertising, you're going to be measuring that return really, really closely. So but that's why I'm just worried about, say you spend $500 or who knows how much, and then you don't see the return, and then you just sort of walk away from it. If you had a little help, I'm sure it could make a big difference.
Right. So people can see me jiggling my hands around. I'm trying to do sign language to people on my team. All right. So I just want to see what people's feedback was. So Laura said, good idea. Thanks, Laura. Laura says, haha, yeah. iPhone photos are a disaster sometimes. I would say if you're going to use them in a professional context, most times. I'm thinking of getting a good camera and trying to take good pictures. Laura says, I know good pictures sell more, so I need to work on it. Cool. All right.
The price of a new camera is definitely a lot more than getting some help with photographers too, because there is a timeline there too. Like if you think about getting a new camera, learning how to take pictures, and then somehow taking pictures of yourself on tour. That sounds like a challenging direction to go, Laura, if you're still there. So I think getting a priority to get some help with that.
Basically, Laura, this is what I was coming back. Sorry, Kelsey, to interrupt. But basically, this is what I was coming up before. Like, have you actually gotten a quote? Because you're going to find that quote is going to cost you the same amount as whatever you spend on the camera is going to cost the same amount as a photographer, probably. So, and then photographer is going to get instant results straight away, and you're going to take a year to figure out how to get the best results. So that's just my take on it. Like I was just saying before, we need to really figure out how we can invest into the really key things. And I think video, photo, making sure that websites are effective on mobile, these are really, really big, effective investments that pay off like 100x. So at least.
More questions in there. This is sort of the last chance if you want to type it. Definitely owe Matt a big thanks.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun actually to be here and answer everyone's questions. So far, the questions we've had have been really excellent. So really, really want to thank everyone for doing that. And just remember that if you want to get on that deal with us, you need to book the call by the end of today. We'll take care of you. Obviously, the idea is that we want to have relationships with people. We want to take people and help them over time and not just walk away as nearly everyone else does. So really looking forward to working with anyone who wants to do so, or at least having an initial chat. I love talking about this business anyway, so there's no need to feel any pressure. Let's see. So Laura says, okay, thanks for the advice. Jessica says, thanks, Matt. No worries at all. I think we're wrapping up there, Kelsey. So thank you so much for staying on with me to the end. Kelsey, it's really, really great to share this information with the audience. You can tell I just get too worked up about this. I'm just too passionate about it all.
Thank you to everybody for leaving with your time to worry about it. And as always, how to reach to book a call with you. How's that work?
Oh no, my internet's dropping there slightly. I'm not sure if you asked me a question there, Kelsey.
Oh, sorry. I was just asking the best way to do that.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure just from the 2 bits of audio that you said, what's the best way to book a call? So basically the way you do is you just go to tourismtiger.com/workshop7, and we'll just pop that into the chat box once again for anyone who missed it before. And you can get the free registration for the video course as well. So yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, guys. I guess we're going to sign off, and really looking forward to bringing even more knowledge to you over time.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. You've got the.
Right.